welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name is Ren and I make videos a couple of times a week about books and pop culture and also disability awareness and disability issues. I have a whole podcast about it. I am disabled, so that's the thing I talk about, but mainly we talk about the books. And today is St. Patrick's Day, so I thought it would be really fitting to tell you about some books that I really enjoyed that are set in Ireland. I don't know how much I've spoken about this. I think I've kind of spoken about it occasionally, but my granddad was born and grew up in Ireland. My family is from a very small place called O'Brien's Bridge, which is a very small part of Republic of Ireland, where like my dad would like spend parts of his childhood and go there, and my dad's family is still there, and it's like a huge part of us. Like my granddad was this little Irish man that he used to tell me all these stories about Ireland and him growing up, and he genuinely made it sound like such a magical place. Like before I'd even been, like he'd tell me all these things about it. Unfortunately my granddad has passed away now, and it means a lot to us to kind of like keep that alive, where he was from alive, and our heritage and where we're from alive. So Ireland is very important, and my granddad, like I said, he was a storyteller. He told me he had all the stories in the whole world. He had all the songs in the whole world. He used to sing me Irish songs. He'd tell me all these stories, and he loved that I loved stories. One of his, he really loved that I loved books. And we used to talk about books a lot, and he let me, one of the last things he ever gave me that he let me borrow, and then I never gave it back because he passed away unfortunately, was a book about Ireland and Irish tales and that kind of thing. He was really big at encouraging me to continue to read constantly. He'd always ask me about my books. So this video is to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, it's to celebrate my grampy, and it's to talk about some books set in Ireland. This one's not like a specific book that I'm going to say go and get. It's a book that it's not the one that my granddad lent me. That one's very personal to me, and it's in my room, but it's a different one. And it's just Irish fairy tales. Irish fairy tales are so good. Like Irish folklore, Irish myth, Irish legend is something which I love so much, and a lot of fairy tales and a lot of myth and a lot of these kind of, they did originate in Ireland and kind of have changed over the years, and this is one that I bought, which just has this is Flame Tree Publishing, and it just has all different Irish fairy tales. And if you are someone who likes fairy tales and likes to see different origins of fairy tales and different stories, I'd really recommend Irish fairy tales. They're really fun, like the kind of like creatures and things you encounter and that kind of thing that are in them. Really cool, and something which kind of like filled my childhood. So if I'm going to talk about Irish stories and Irish books, I've got to talk about Irish fairy tales. But now we will get into the actual books. So we've got a variety of genres, and also some books that I have on my Kindle, so I'll just show the picture, and then some that I have physical copies of. So the first one that we have is Holding Her Breath by Emma Ryan, and this is a book which when I first saw it, I like immediately got it. It's full of things that I kind of immediately was drawn to. So I used to swim a lot. I used to like compete and do different stuff, and I loved swimming, so anything involving swimming I love to hear about. And this focuses on Beth, and she is struggling because she had the potential to be a competitive swimmer and a big swimmer, but that kind of isn't something that happened for her, and she wants to just make a new start, and kind of just find herself, but the people that she's around during her fresh start, her new roommates, they really like her granddad, and her granddad has died, and he was a poet, and he was quite a famous poet. She didn't know him, he died before she was born, but she kind of embarks on this thing, like this kind of journey to figure out more about him, and also her grandmother, his widow, who is still alive, and it's kind of that journey of finding yourself and family and who you are and where you come from. And I just thought this was done really well. I really, really loved this story. It's not a very long one. I think I read it in, I think it was like a day. I think I did it in one sitting. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really well written, and a really good exploration of kind of like self and kind of who you are. And your family and that kind of heritage and that kind of thing, which I really like. Then we have Saltwater by Jessica Andrews. This is a book I think I have spoken about on this channel before, way back when I first got it. And this focuses on Lucy, and she has gotten a place at a London university, and she thinks that this is kind of going to be it for her. It's going to unlock loads of potential and it's going to be the start of a really good thing. But she ends up not really fitting in as much as she thought she would, and it isn't like what she expected it to be. London is just not what she expected. It's overwhelming a lot. It's very different to what she's used to. So at her graduation, everything kind of comes to a head, and she decides that she's going to go to Ireland, to her late grandfather's cottage, and kind of figure things out and just kind of like see who she is and her as a person. And I really like books that look at you at university. We have this really tricky thing where there's a lot of YA books which talk about high school, and we have a lot of stories and movies that focus on high school, which is great because high school can be a really complicated and tricky time of your life. But I feel like for me, university was harder to navigate than secondary school was. Like university was really hard and tricky, and you are suddenly surrounded by, like, you're all adults now, and yeah, you're in classes with people, but making friends is a completely different ball game, and kind of if you go to a different place you have to learn a whole new city, and it's just like it's a lot different. So I really like it when books are set there and shows kind of how complicated it can be, and how university is something which is not always easy. Like it is something which can be a struggle, and they kind of show that when you're then done with uni, you kind of have to figure out who you are, because I think that as well, like kind of once you've finished studying, you've done the studying, so you're kind of like spat out at the end, and you're like, okay, who am I, what do I do now? So I really like books that focus on that. So the next one is more of like an author shout out, but two specific books. These are two books that I have on my Kindle, and that's The Henna Wars and Honey and Issues Guide to Fake Dating by Adiba Jagadar. And these are two books set in Ireland. You know, these are just really cute YA rom-com coming of age, really cute stories. I loved both of these. I blitzed both of these, both set in Ireland. So this is more author recommendation, but also these are the two books that I love and would recommend and are set in Ireland. And then the final one is a completely different vibe, and that's In the Woods by Tana French. I found out about In the Woods, which is actually the Dublin Murder Squad book one, because I read The Witch Hunt, that was my first Tana French book, but then wanted to find more books written by Tana French, and I found the Dublin Murder Squad. And this is set originally in the 80s, and 3 kids go missing, and they only find one of them, and then 20 years later, Rob Ryan, who is the one who was found, he is a detective at the Dublin Murder Squad, and then a case comes up which is really, really similar to what happened to him and the other 2 that went missing. So he kind of then on it, and it's a mystery of what happened before, but then he's kind of got to confront his own past. And I just thought it was a really, really good crime book, like the way that it was done, and kind of like how things that happen in small towns can really kind of shock communities, but then also like attitudes in the 80s versus now, like with what people did, like it was completely different. And I think it was done really well. I really like Tana French's writing. I think she's a really good crime writer. So that's another one, Dublin Murder Squad, which makes it sound a lot less, for some reason Dublin Murder Squad just sounds less serious than the topic in the book. So yeah, so those are just a couple of books that I really enjoyed that are set in Ireland. I haven't done a video like this before. I've kind of been thinking about doing more location-based videos, books set in specific places and specific countries, because it's always nice to find them, you know. I like reading books that are set in Ireland, and I like reading books that are set you know, in places that I love and have been and have a connection to. So this is definitely the perfect one to start, seeing as why I wanted to do it and what day it is today. If you guys have any recommendations for books set in Ireland, please let me know, like leave them in the comments, because I am always up for like as many as possible. Thank you guys for watching. Like I said, if you guys are new here, then I make videos a couple of times a week about books and pop culture, so if you want to stick around and join us, feel free to hit that subscribe button and the little notification bell. The links to my podcast are also in the description as well. We have a full set of observations podcast, which is me talking about my journey being disabled and chronically ill and everything that entails. And also my Stranger Things podcast is in the description as well, and all my other social medias are in there as well if you want to come hang out with me on there. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you're doing really well, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.